Hello,
Hello.
and welcome back to the
Classic Pod.
Oh, that was good.
It's gorgeous.
Episode 6.
Can't believe it.
Good Lord, we got this
It'll
far.
be 7 before we know it.
I feel like we start every episode off being like, I can't believe we got to this point, and we're in single digits.
I would like to thank my family, God,
I think it's because we were
my
like,
cat.
where we were like, oh well, we know what to do for the first 2 episodes, and then we'll just see where to go.
And suddenly, yeah,
Here we are, 6.
Yeah, 6. We got our camera working. I've got curtains in my house. Changed the plant.
The bars are low, but they're getting higher. Every time we come back, we've got slightly more to show you.
Exactly.
So what are we talking about today, Alex?
Well, today we thought we would share a little bit more about our own musical journeys, our own experiences in classical music, both kind of as people learning instruments or kind of learning music, and now kind of working in the classical music industry.
Yes.
Highs, lows,
And everything in between.
every single thing in between.
I pitched this as a sort of a trauma dump of as you're growing up learning music, but you said that much more gracefully
Yeah.
than I did.
Trauma dump, yeah. I mean, we could start that way, couldn't we?
I think
If you have
a
something
lot of
you're
people start
bursting
that
to,
way.
yeah, it's very true.
Well, I think because I was thinking a lot of people that watch this or listen to this, even if they're not professional musicians, which is not going to be that many people, you will probably have learnt the piano growing up, or you
So
played
true.
the clarinet in your school wind band. I think a lot of people have. There's a sort of a connecting like we're all sort of joined by this sort of experience of playing,
Yeah.
honking your way through like She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain, in year
Beautiful.
3.
Yeah, I love that.
For your parents.
Exactly.
And yeah, so I thought we'd start with the trauma.
I love it. I feel like I've got a story from when I was a young whippersnapper, and I feel like it kind of encapsulates
Yeah,
like
let's
a lot
go.
of the kind of maybe I mean, I do think in classical music people like a kind of a high standard, and if you do anything that's like you don't always get it, but if you do anything like a competition or an exam
Yeah.
or something, it can feel kind of like the end of the world, or it can feel so
Yes.
challenging, and that everything is very kind of difficult. And I remember when I was younger and I was in a competition, and the adjudicator, after everybody played, there was a kind of discussion, and then they would get feedback, and then they would place everyone. And before the feedback, the adjudicator was having a conversation with other members of the panel, and then she got up and said, I can't seem to see any below satisfactory stickers. Can somebody find me any below satisfactory for the students? And we all were sitting there like,
you.
great, well, cool, fantastic. And I was lucky enough to have come third, but everyone fourth onwards got below satisfactory. And she was like, yeah, you
I can imagine
need
just-
to know when
They're like,
you're below satisfactory.
Sorry, we don't have any below, but we do have satisfactory, but I will come round personally and write below on your chest.
That was the, stamp it on your
forehead.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is actually, this is quite, because we will definitely come on to exam stuff, because
Yeah, for sure.
I think this is a thing, especially being like an orchestra kid or you're a music kid. We were doing exams and competitions and stuff before everyone else was doing GCSEs.
Yeah.
So I remember like when everyone was getting to GCSEs, like, oh my god, exams! Like,
I remember the exact same thing.
exams.
And I think a lot of people found this, that like
Yeah.
if you did exams as a child, and also the music exams are so much scarier than the like school exams. School exams, you just sit down and write something.
Yes.
Music exams, you have to get up and sing. You have to like know all your scales. You have to know all your pieces, often from memory. Like depending on how strict your teacher is. My
Oh
teacher
my
always
God,
made me
they
learn
let you off.
everything from memory. Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah.
You're like 8.
Yeah,
And
they
you're
were
learning
like,
that
"Has to be from memory."
minuet.
Yeah, from memory, because it means that you know it better. I do
Well,
actually.
that's not always the case.
I do actually think it's true that if you go to an exam,
Sorry.
even if you bring your Are you okay?
I just put my hand up to speak. I'm already back in the school. It's the trauma. It's brought me back.
Well, I do think that every exam, even if you're playing with music, you should have learned it from memory beforehand, because you will just be better.
I
and if you
agree.
haven't, then
I
you're
agree
maybe
that
not
there
ready.
is like you get to a point where you know it so well.
Yeah.
But it also, you run the risk of going wrong and then being like, oh my God, I've now
Yeah.
tripped up. I can't just like look where I was and keep going.
Well, but what I'm saying is like
You've
even
got
if you know
beyond
it
that.
from memory, you've got the score in front of you in the exam.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. You can bring the score in the
that's fair.
exam.
Oh, yeah, okay,
but
yeah, fair.
beforehand,
That's
as long
fair.
as you should probably have learnt it from memory.
And actually, to be fair, with piano music, you've got to probably turn pages,
So true.
which we didn't.
Which
have
is
to
an
do.
added stress. It's definitely an added stress.
So I did grades in the violin all the way to grade 8, and then I did the double bass to grade 5.
Yeah.
And I think there's something what you won't experience just being a pianist
Yeah.
is that when you go in as an instrumentalist, you go in, play your 3 pieces with your pianist who you've been
I mean,
practicing.
Johnny,
with.
I have grade 5 violin.
Okay. I didn't. Know
But so
this.
you go in with the pianist, yes.
and then they leave you,
yes, that's true.
and you're
they
like,
leave you.
no, stay.
Yeah.
And then you're left with this examiner who's doesn't matter how old, how young, whatever they look like, they're the most terrifying person you've ever met.
Absolutely.
You're like, this
yeah.
is probably, the conductor of the Berlin Phil or something. Like, they're going to be holding
No,
me to
you
a
do
high
always think that
standard.
they're like they run the world. I don't know. They
Yes.
just and they always have that vibe about them.
Because you've never met them before. You've
Yeah.
never seen them. Because examiners aren't allowed to, like, examine in their areas.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And they're terrifying. Even they're being as nice as possible. I've had multiple. I remember playing a B flat major scale. It was probably grade 3 violin. And I did it. And he looked up and went, would you like to do that again?
That's horrible. Oh my gosh. One more time.
And I was
That's
like,
awful.
I think I did it again, and I don't think it was any better.
My piano teacher said that she had the same thing when she did her diploma.
Yeah.
And they asked her to play one of the pieces again. And she thought, oh, they loved it so much. And she failed. She failed. And
Why
then she
would-
went to Paris and had lessons. And she was amazing, got into
And they
academy.
wanted, she would think they wanted
Yeah.
to hear it again, like, encore!
She literally thought they were asking for an encore, and she was like, they loved it so much. But that level of delusional confidence, I think that's what we should all strive towards.
If I was teaching a kid that was like grade 3 flute, I'd be like, we're going to do an encore. We're going to practice an encore.
Oh, yes,
They're like,
that's a really
stop.
good...
I've got more to play.
Yes.
Now that's a power move.
That's true. I will say with all the exams, because I was like obsessed with piano, like obsessed with learning. I always learn every piece, like in the exam book.
Oh, like all A, B,
So I
C,
learned
yeah.
the ABC, and there were 6 because there were the 3 others as well. I always like to learn them all. And this is so embarrassing. But when I remember doing one exam and I was so excited to get the exam book, I used to sleep with it under my pillow every night because I loved it so much.
You do know this goes. We do
This
know
is this,
we
but we said we
this
were going to
goes
trauma
out.
dump. We said we were going to trauma dump.
this
Johnny.
goes out to people
This
are gonna
is me
hear this.
trauma dumping. Anyway, yes, how embarrassing! Oh my goodness, yes. I slept with it under my pillow and I used to read it at night. There we go. Yeah, it was so embarrassing.
Did it help? No.
Yeah.
I also remember because you have to do the singing. Okay, we won't go into
Yeah.
a commentary on like how exams have actually changed
Yeah.
today because they've actually cut a lot of it out.
Yeah, I was
And they do
gonna
like
not
online
go there. Yeah,
exams,
yeah.
which let's be honest are a shadow of their former selves and have been debased.
They were difficult, but they were iconic.
They were, but
Yeah.
what they are now is moneymaker. That's fine. We're not
Heard it here
expecting. We're not
first.
expecting anything. No, you've not heard it here first. It's definitely not an uncommon
Yeah.
thought.
People have certainly thought it before.
But there was the oral test where you had to like sing stuff back, and I must have been 14 or something because I sang it in. I was going through puberty.
Yeah,
voice
I
was
have these stories as well.
Breaking.
Yeah.
And I think I started doing it. I was singing it back. I just like breaking. He's like,
Yeah.
do you want to sing it in higher up? He just puts it in octave. I was like, okay.
I-
It was like much better.
That is so funny because I have the exact same story, like the exact same thing. But the funniest one for me is I hope my sister doesn't mind me telling her
Oh,
story.
sure she won't.
But actually, there are two with her. But one of them, she just she did not want to sightsee. She was not a sightseeing girly. Like she just was not there for it. And he gave her the score. And he gave her the first note, and she sang it. And then she looked at him, and he sang the next note. And then she kept looking at him and he sang the next note and he just kind of sang it with her. And I think, to be honest, he must have quite liked her because she passed that section. So good on you. And Juliet's my sister's advice was always if in a pickle, cry and they'll feel really bad for you.
What advice?
Yeah. She did it in her driving test and passed with no minor.
Okay, I feel like that shouldn't be public.
Yeah, no, she definitely did that. But yeah, and there was the other one as well with my sister and my friend Monique, and they went in for an exam one after the other. And I remember my mum being like, "Oh, what was the examiner like?" And Monique said, "Oh, he looked like he had like a really approachable face, clean shaven, like brown hair, kind of early 30s."
Yeah.
And then we asked Juliet, like, what was the examiner like? And she was like, "Oh yeah, he like had this really studious vibe, 60s, grey hair, beard." And it was like, we still to this day don't quite know, did an examiner leave through the back, or was one of them just like being
really bad at describing
was
people.
it like
blind?
Yeah. But I do think this goes back to our point of like the examiners just seem scary, and I wonder whether Juliet did just think, "Oh my god,
Just
it's a
like
scary
built a
person,"
terrifying
and just
image,
shut her
like
up.
like a sleep paralysis demon leering over the piano.
100%. He's got like the Babadook or Slender Man, like
That's what it feels like. But again, like some of these
Genuinely.
kids are being, especially if you've got overbearing parents, you get put in so young, grade
So
one, and there's
young.
like pre-grade one now.
Yeah. It's true.
You must, and I was like, that's so stressful.
It is stressful, and I think even when we were learning, there was pre-grades. There were pre-grades.
And then there's definitely one for piano, but I think there's
Yeah.
now more for others. Now.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we just reeled these off. Like I remember when I was doing my double bass grades. Again, I was quite small and double bass quite big. I would like what you're laughing because you know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
We would like you warm up in one room and we had to like walk across, and it was a school, so they were like going out. They were like it was lunchtime.
Yeah.
And as I was walking over, someone just like threw it. They didn't throw it intentionally at me, but they'd just been to McDonald's and they'd thrown like whatever like chips they had left. Just into like just the side, and I just happened to be there, so I'm just covered in chips and like
You eat them.
Yes, I was like, this is what I need right
Ooh,
now.
yum,
I'm
thank you.
hungry. Yum yum yum.
It's all about
so
your attitude.
Double bass and me covered in greasy chips, and I'm just like trying to like brush them off because also as you pick up a double bass, you sort of waddle because they're quite sort of like bottom heavy.
So true.
And they're not easy to hold. You've got to put like one hand under like the side there, and then one at the top on the neck.
But my question is, why were you all on your own? Was there
I wasn't.
not a responsible
Someone was with
adult
me.
helping you?
Someone was with me, but they didn't like. I don't know. I just happened in a flash. It was just they didn't seem to react that I just had like the Happy Meal thrown at me, and I was not that happy.
You were, yeah. It was an unhappy meal for
But
you.
then for me to just then go into this church, which is where the exam was happening, and then play the tortoise from Sasson's Carnival of the
I
Animals,
love it. I love it.
whilst stinking of chips.
Well, talking about venues for exams, I remember this is really bad. I went to, we kind of changed the exam centre, stopped doing exams, and we had to change over to another one. And in the changeover period, we did our exams in another teacher's house.
Yes.
And she only let her students practice. And so none of the rest of us could practice.
No.
And we went over there early thinking we'd be able to practice. And she had a swing outside. We were all just on the swing. Oh my God. No, it was like, I still think about this. What? She just wouldn't let us in. It was
so
insane.
funny.
Yeah, and I remember I always loved listening to other people as well. And I remember the girl before me, she played Gershwin, The Man I Love. And she was really good. And I remember being like, she's so good. Yeah, and yes, I was allowed to practice. I was sitting there with my ear to the door, enjoying everyone else was
not
practicing.
allowed to practice.
So funny.
My violin grade 8 was in somebody's house. In fact,
Yeah.
it was in the house of, I can't remember her name. I would actually say it. Yeah, she won the like BBC Young Musician in the 80s. Don't try it because I'm not going to remember who it is. Lovely, lovely house. But it was like one of the hottest days of the year.
Always something like that, isn't it?
It was like
It's
30, well, then it was like 34 degrees, 35 degrees. And
oh no!
so I'm just
What's
now
happened?
the image in my mind. I obviously was just in like a t-shirt and shorts because it was hot. And I go in, and the examiner is in a suit and tie.
See, they're built different.
No, I don't think he was. I think he
Oh.
wishes he was built
Oh,
different
God.
because he'd obviously undone his tie as much as he could without it obviously looking like crazy,
Yeah,
trying to maintain any sense of composure. This room is all shut up because they don't like soundproofing or something, and it's the most humid room. He looks like he's been sat in a sauna, which he probably may as well have
Yeah.
been for about an hour and a half. Hello, Jonathan. Doing grade 8, are you? He looked unwell.
Seconds from death.
Seconds from death. But then to be fair, it doesn't take me long to start playing to realize that like there's sweat building up between my chin
Oh, horrible.
and the chin rest. Trying to
Yeah.
play like Beethoven, and like I can feel my like like chin slipping as it goes.
That's horrible.
The fingerboard, I can feel it like starting to be damp.
Oh my goodness.
I was very naughty, and there's like a high note. It was either in the Haydn sonata, concerto or something. On the E string, I drew with a little little line on the fingerboard, so I could go do 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 do. And I was concerned it was going to get rubbed off.
Really? And
I was
you were like, this is your
if this
kind of...
goes, all bets are off.
Oh my
Who
goodness.
knows what's going to happen?
Well, I think this is the danger about doing anything like that, because then when your safety net's gone, it feels so much scarier. Whereas if you just practice your intonation more, then like you wouldn't have had to have that issue.
Okay, this isn't an intervention
Well, to be
for
fair
10
to you,
years
like,
ago.
I actually did my grade 8 twice. This is like a story that I don't tell very often, but I forgot my piece and I ran away. Like the first time I did it, I just completely forgot it because I felt that there was so much pressure, or like I had to do well, and like I'd always done well in all the other grades, and I like just didn't finish it. And then I went back and did it again. And
Did you do all the grades? 1, 2, 3?
no, I did like
Okay.
3, 5,
That's
7,
fine.
and 8.
I don't think anyone does all of
Yeah.
them. That does remind me, I will not remember any of the names or people, but it's a piano competition that happens in Texas where he just goes out, he obviously bows,
Yeah.
and he sits at the piano, adjusts the stool and everything, and he just looks at the piano and then just
Yeah.
like looks at his hands and just stands up, bows, and walks off. He's there in that moment, decided, I can't do this
So
today.
crazy. But what was crazy about my experience was that my teacher, I changed teachers, and my old teacher said that that piece was cursed for her. And every time she played it, she forgot it. And every time she had a student play it, they forgot it.
And he's cursed.
And it's the
What's
for
the
those
beat?
wondering, it's the Beethoven C minor that's like bum ba-dum 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 bum.
Oh.
That sonata. Yeah, I just completely forgot the development. I was like, it felt like the worst moment of my life. Like it was horrible. And it did take it took a lot to kind of come back and do my pieces again and do it again. But it all worked out well in the end. Yeah.
Well, if you say
Yeah,
so.
sure.
I think, and this is actually looking back at it, I think actually exams or doing violin and the examining bit, and actually also when we went to university in our first year,
Yes.
everyone had to do a performance module.
Yes.
We had teachers from RAM, they were all academy. So we all had to perform in our first year. And I resented just like standing in front of people. I didn't like how you phrased
Yeah,
that. I
yeah.
didn't like this bit. I didn't like this. I didn't like this. I was like, oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, when I loved playing is when I was in an orchestra or in a quartet or like in a pit for a show, like playing for an opera or a musical. That's when it was just so much fun.
Yeah.
And suddenly this like, this sort of recital playing, this sort of solo academic
Yeah,
way
and
just was like, this is when I have the least fun.
It's true. I remember one of my feedbacks from first year was that my triple pianissimo was more like a pianissimo, just double. And I remember
Can't believe
being
you
like,
admitted that.
well, I mean, fair enough. And they also said like,
No, you just sit further away.
No, it was a WC pianissimo is different from a Beethoven pianissimo. That was like the commentary. Fair enough. Okay, they're
So we
probably
need to
right.
say-
And actually, yes, that's like valid. It would be interesting to discuss that, but when you're reading it written down on a page, it's like, what does that actually mean? How? Different how? What do I do?
This is like when
Like,
we've done,
yeah.
I remember doing like composer workshops where you have like a group come in, and this was the university, and they come in, and then we spent 2 days over like the 8 of us, and it's just when they turn around and go, this staccato, do you want it to be a half staccato or like a full staccato? I was like, this mezzo forte. So do you want to lean closer to mezzo piano or
Yeah,
closer to
yeah,
mezzo
yeah.
forte? And I just think no one cares. Well,
But I mean, I think there's like a nerdiness to that I kind of love.
no. The problem was it's like either this bum or it's this bum, and we're just like,
I'm sure I know.
Did
for a
anyone
fact,
notice the
like,
difference?
It's also always in a lesson where your teacher makes you play something and you do it, and they go, "See, didn't you hear that was different?" And you go,
this is like
and you just pray they don't say, "We'll do it again."
this is like when you don't practice, but you're quite good at sight reading. They're like, well,
God.
you've obviously practiced.
I wish.
I'm great. I was great
You were
at
good at
sight
sight
reading.
reading,
Terrible
yeah.
at practicing.
No.
The number of times I just got
Yeah.
away with, oh wow, I can see you've really put some work in this week.
were
I'm
like- Yeah.
Not
There we go.
really.
I was in a lesson once, and the teacher. This is horrible. The teacher said exactly that. So I was in a violin lesson.
Oh.
And violin sight reading is easier than piano sight reading.
Yeah, no,
Sorry,
I'll give
it's
you that.
true.
There's more notes to read.
And so I had a similar situation that I hadn't worked very hard, and I had just played the piece, and my teacher said, "Wow, you've really practiced. You know what? That's made my week. You know, all that work you've done, it made my week." And my dad had come to collect me, and he said, "You must have had a terrible week."
I'm waiting till we can get your dad on the pod.
Yeah,
really.
exactly. Absolutely.
Well-
The other story with him is that he always does like a good critique when he listens. He knows what he doesn't like. He knows what he likes. And before our exams, me and my sister, he always used just to play with our minds. He used to go, "What's the tune? Like, what's the tune of that?"
Oh my God.
And then you would have like a mental
my
breakdown,
God.
thinking like,
I've
just been playing
that would make me jump into traffic.
No, he was like, "What's the tune?"
You know what?
Yeah.
That reminds me. The days I did do like theatre and like I did a lot of Gilbert and Sullivan.
Yeah.
Is I was. I mean, the first time I did it, I fully blacked out on like not lines. I just like stared at someone I was acting across, and I was and until she was like, "So, what did you think about this?" Like that, like led me to the line. So
People
I'm
are
very
good at
grateful for that.
saving you actually in those situations.
Yes, but there's one where I remember just it was crazy because it was down at the Minack Theatre in Cornwall, which is this outside theatre on the like the side of the
Stunning.
cliff.
Yeah, I've been.
And so I was waiting behind a wall, like to come up. Like, so like it was at the back of the stage. Looks like it goes straight into the sea, but there's like a little platform. So I was
I
like on that
didn't know
little
that.
platform.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a little platform, and I was like meant to climb over the wall and sing. I was Dick Deadeye in HBS Pinafore. If you want to know.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. And I literally stood there and I was like, okay, I'm going on in about like a minute. And I was like, and this was like the end of the run. And I've done this show 10 times as well as all the rehearsals. And I was like, what the hell is my first line? What the hell am I meant to say? I don't know what I'm doing. Until I like just go into the motion and like, 861 is Josephine.
So it came back to you.
It came back to me in the end.
Yeah,
Strangely
see, I've
enough,
been so
I've been
lucky.
all right, but I got mortified, or like mortally terrified, rather,
Horrible.
that I was going to forget everything.
It's when you overthink something. I was in an audition once and I was playing the another Beethoven sonata. It's the D major one. There's like
Yeah.
And I just was like, I got into my head about the cadences, and I was like, what are these cadences? What's every cadence? Which chord from which chord to which chord? Are we still in this key? And so I just got every cadence wrong. Because I just like I overthought it, so every time it was like a perfect cadence. I was like I just got it wrong somehow. I don't know
that.
how.
I love that.
Like, it really does not actually change key for a little while. Like, yeah, it's still a D major, mate. But I really, I just got into my head and just got all the cadences wrong. I didn't like
Just
it
learning by
doesn't
heart
feel
again.
possible.
Is this
but-
off by heart? Not.
Yeah, by heart.
So I've got something here.
Share.
Little story. I know in the last pod I talked about when I was in charge of the like medics orchestra unit. So we're going back to that, and we did a concerto competition every year, which in this meant people came to audition for just the committee, and we picked 2 to come and do a concerto in the sort of end of term concert.
Yeah.
So we had one that we knew he was a good violinist. He did the Beethoven violin concerto. And then we had someone we didn't know, we'd not known before this, but she came and played brilliantly. And she said, I want to do the Chopin. It must have been the first one, I assume. And so obviously all term, we as the orchestra had been rehearsing the orchestral part, which actually isn't very difficult. It's all the complicated bits in the piano and the Chopin. And then it was a day before the show, or the concert. And so she came in to come and play with us. So we could put it all together. And obviously we get through we're in the first movement, we're playing through, and then we go into the second movement, start playing it, and then just suddenly she just stops. She just stops playing. And I could just like, stop. Is everything all right? Is everything all right? And she's like, yeah, I haven't learnt the rest.
Stop.
She's like, this is as far as I've learnt. And everyone looks at me and I'm just,
It's not a question you asked her in the audition.
and then she said, "So I'll learn the rest by tomorrow." And I was just like, "Well, I'm sure we could just put just the first movement in. I'm sure we'll be fine." All power to her. She did actually, when it came to it, she did learn the whole thing.
That is amazing.
So I wonder if it was more that she didn't know it and she hadn't she
Yeah.
was like, I'm not going to. But to be fair, the other thing about the concert that she ended up playing in is that we were told that venue, which was the King's College Chapel,
Yeah.
King's College London Chapel, had a grand piano in it.
It does not.
Well, I think it does now.
Oh.
Well, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Been a little while. And we turned up, and lo and behold, they were like, "Oh yeah, we got rid of that last year." And so okay, let's try and push. What's the St David's room, which was opposite?
SDR.
There's a huge, was it Berzendorfer?
Yeah, Berzendorfer, which they got rid of, which is so sad.
That
was my absolute favourite.
It has extra bass keys.
And there was a story of somebody at King's, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, who do you remember this story that he
No, what's this?
started the piece on the wrong note? Started the piece on the wrong note because he was thrown off by the extra notes at the bottom of the Berzendorfer.
I love the extra
just
notes.
and it was the yes, it was a piece, and he started on the wrong note.
That's amazing. Well, I love because they were they're painted black.
Yeah,
they were they're forbidden
yeah.
notes at the bottom. I mean that instrument was like a yacht. It was enormous.
True. And there's a Ravel piece, Barque sur l'Océan.
Yeah.
And that has a note
It
that's
needs
below.
those low ones.
Yeah, and I remember playing it on that piano, and it was very fun.
It was a great instrument.
Yeah.
But we were like, oh, we're going to have to push this over. Incredibly heavy, doesn't fit through the door. Okay.
Crazy.
So we end up going down to one of the downstairs rehearsal rooms, getting an upright piano, putting it into what was originally a lift for people on stretchers because it used to be a hospital. So it was a long and narrow lift. We were squeezed around this upright. By the way, we weren't meant to move any pianos. They did not let you do that.
No.
We'd had to steal a piano from a room. We were pressed up against the wall in this thing that should probably unsafe for all of us in this place at the same time. So yeah, then we ended up doing the whole concerto with her on an upright with the top open,
That's so
to try and get as
funny.
close to a grand as we could.
There we go. And did she learn the rest
She
of the
learnt
piece?
it, and honestly, it was fine.
That is kind of crazy.
I feel like she must have known it, but she was didn't have I haven't completely learned it. I don't know.
I'm now thinking instead of 1 and 2, it's actually 2 and 3 that I'm thinking of, but I digress.
Yes, please digress. Digress more, please.
No, I'm not going to do that. But that is wild. Learning, that is also quite audacious to go, how quickly did she learn that first movement as well?
I bet she spent 3 months on the first movement and then the last.
And they just learned. That is crazy because I feel like always the third movement is the
it's
most
just how
difficult.
everyone turned to look at me as if I was going to somehow I'll play the rest.
Or why did you do that? Yeah.
I wasn't the only one that picked her.
So funny.
She played very well in the audition, and she
love
played very well in the concert.
Yeah, well, good for her.
Rest though.
Yeah, that is quite stressful.
Stress. Have you ever had a stressful concert experience?
Like a concert experience.
Narrow
my
it
gosh,
down.
I'm literally going to have to narrow it down.
What's the word? What's the peak?
Oh my goodness. Well, similarly to your double bass. Well, not actually similarly to your double bass one. Don't know why I said that.
No, I liked the attempt at a segue.
Similar to kind of stories where something goes wrong with the instrument. I remember one where the piano was moving away.
Or it wasn't
That was
locked
horrible.
in.
Yeah, so it wasn't properly locked in.
Loved that.
So for me, it was always memory lapses because it was such a kind of. It always was a kind of pattern for me that sometimes you would feel confident with something and then sometimes you just wouldn't, and the piece would go and it feels horrible. And I think lots of people have this with and actually I think a lot of people have as well when you get better at something. You get less confident, or your confidence kind of leaves you a little bit.
Yes, I guess it's
got
your
worse
expectations
anxiety.
get higher as well.
Yeah, and also I think as a child, it's like I was saying earlier, I always used to learn everything from memory and I'd just play it, sit down.
Yeah, I think
Now
that's
I'd be
memory does work.
Where's my music? Yeah.
I don't think I ever did anything in concert in memory, from memory.
I think it was very common for pianists to have
I
to learn
think
things
so.
from
Yeah.
memory.
I mean, violinists
yeah.
could have done. I just never.
But it's interesting thinking about this because, what you were saying at King's as well, when we were both there, it's not everyone's forte, but we kind of had to do everything. You had to do performance, you had to do
composition.
Whereas obviously, when you go forwards into work, which I guess we can maybe talk a little bit more
I thought you were going to push this. Oh, you're good at this.
You don't often end up performing. I mean, I perform very rarely now. If I do, it's probably more accompaniment than recitals. But yeah, kind of going from that experience to navigating the world of work in classical music is interesting because I think the big kind of common thread is that I went to an open day at Manchester University, and they said, you should all come and do music here because the accountancy conversion course afterwards is so good.
Oh
and
my God.
80% of our students do that.
I mean, yes.
And I remember, again, I was there with my dad, and he was like, oh, how ridiculous. And why would they say that? He was right.
Oh, he was right.
But the kind of stereotype is that it would be very hard to find work in classical music, and a lot of times, like, you segue through something or you do something unpaid, and then like you kind of have to find your way to work. Yeah.
Yes, I do agree, but I also think there is no shame in having done a music degree and then going into something else. Like
I do
law.
completely agree.
And I think you're better for it as well.
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
This is an odd experience that I didn't expect to go through this.
Yeah.
But in the period of like just coming out of university, you're sort of applying for lots of things. You cast the net wide.
Yeah, you do.
Including I got through quite a few like stages of like assessment centres for this pensions company.
Really?
It's quite amazing. It's called Aon. I will name it because this isn't a bad thing at all. Yeah. But that's quite a major like financial pensions like company, major. And I got through to this assessment day or assessment centre. It was just on Zoom.
Yeah.
And there were about 30 of us. And I was the only one there in like a sort of aubergine turtleneck. And I'd be like, hi everyone, and everyone else is in suits. Like their mums dressed them. Like mums dressed them. And so they're just like,
yeah.
And we went round like one by one and saying which university we were from or we'd done and what our degree was. And I was the only one there. First, I was the only one from like Oxbridge, but also I was the only one there that did anything that was like not related. I was the only one who did music, and no one else did anything like that was similar. It was like,
do you remember like what was the most popular?
Like it was like maths or accounting or like some people had degrees in
very
pensions.
Data, like
I'm sorry,
like numbers.
What 18-year-old
degree in pensions?
What
Sorry, did I catch that right? I'm so sorry.
I want to be an astronaut.
No,
I want to be
obviously
a firefighter.
that's amazing. Degree
No,
in pensions.
it's not. I want to be a firefighter. I'd like to be a pensions like actuary. You know, okay, little Timmy.
Maybe it's like being a nun. Like it's a calling. You know. Like
They woke up one night and just saw like pensions.
Yeah, exactly. That there was a kind of Ecce Ancilla Domini moment.
Yeah, that's
like...
what it felt like. But it was just I was like, okay, that's a bit interesting. Okay, all these different people. I didn't know that people were like that. But it's when we got put into these like smaller breakout sessions. There were like, I think it was 3 of us, and then like an examiner. You know, someone to like do it all. And we had to give 2 presentations each. One was on the natures of various pension schemes. Yeah.
Okay. And you'd done your revision, had you?
I had done my revision.
Oh, wow,
I was like,
okay.
yep. Something I can't remember at all. Like it's just
need
like
to do a postgraduate.
there's
degree
like
in
3 or 4
pensions.
different ones. It all depends like how the money is pooled and then how it's like diversified in different investments and things like that. That's basically it. They've got applied something distribute. I can't remember. All our pension fans will obviously be able to fill.
Please, the pension fans, we must hear from you.
But we had to do 2. So there was one about that, and then the other one was about like just a presentation on ourselves, just like our hobbies.
That's always hard. That's always
And so
very
I obviously
hard.
went in with like, oh, I love music. I play the violin. I write music. I also like history. I like, going to a castle or, walking around an old house.
Love that.
Or like, stuff like that. And I also like to learn. I'm learning German. Great. And they're like, okay, thank you. Oh, I was about to do an accent. Okay.
Yeah, why was the person German?
I was about, why are they all German? And it was like, okay, thank you. And then like whoever went next. And I genuinely, when they were telling us about themselves, I was like, are you like joking? Is this like a bit? Because they were like, what do you do? Oh, I like to go walking. And I was like,
No.
That's not hiking, that's walking. It's like, okay. It's like, the bit was, I like to open windows for fun. Or I don't know, I like to look out the window.
No, Johnny, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, but so many people don't have any hobbies. They don't do things.
And I was like,
no, they don't. Like, it's like, oh, I don't really have that. No, I don't really do that.
It's like on Wednesdays I open doors.
It's like, but what do you? And then it's
they're
like,
like, what
well,
do
do
you
you
do?
love your job? No, not really.
But these was I was like,
It freaks me
it
out.
felt like, are you aliens that have been put on Earth and trying to blend in? It was like I was like, this there must be joking.
funny.
Because I was talking about like, I love music, I go to the opera, I go to like with the included musical numbers. You don't mind if I sing, do you?
Yeah. Here's a little
How's
something
this
from
for a
Gypsy.
personal essay?
I'm going to sing Rose's turn.
So I hope you press play when I say, please. I was just in awe at like.
So funny,
I think,
but so true.
Because I guess I've been surrounded by music people, drama people, theatre people. Oh, they're saying that. And this is why I said that music is still great if you don't want to be a professional violinist or a composer or conductor. Especially when you go to university and you meet like the medics that also play the the law students that also play the piano, or even like the biologists that do like the go and dance ballroom. Having that other bit just makes them so much more interesting people.
It's really
and
true.
More well-rounded.
Yeah, honestly, probably more interesting than the music students. Who
Yeah,
enjoy
probably, yeah.
music. Yeah, absolutely. So that is so interesting.
I
had no idea about that.
You know what's
Your
crazy?
pensions
I didn't get
interview.
it because they didn't like the reason I gave for why I wanted to work in pensions. How does anyone answer why
You
do
had
you
to
want to
make
work here? And
Well, people who really want to can answer it very well.
Do you want to hear my actual answer? I was like, well, pensions are really integral to people's lives. It's their livelihood. And I just like to be a part of that change.
I think that's an amazing answer.
Oh, that wasn't good enough. They probably just wanted to go, money.
They probably had like buzzwords or something.
Probably.
Oh, my worst interview answer. This actually was not that long ago. I went for a job.
Yeah.
At like a big
Where?
corporation.
No.
And I obviously the classical music world is quite close, and so you often know people who are interviewing you, or you know
Tenebrae.
somebody involved. And I knew somebody on the panel, and I organised a meeting with him beforehand, and I said, what are you looking for in this job? And he said, honestly, we are looking for somebody who will just get on with it, won't ask too many questions, has a way of doing things, will just hit the ground running.
Crazy? People who know the place you're talking about would know what it is based on that.
Genuinely. And I remember going for this interview, and they were like, what can we expect from you? Was one of the questions. What will you bring to the role? And I said, I am the kind of person, I'm just ready to hit the ground running. I am raring to go. I'm an independent worker.
Verbatim what you said.
I'm very happy to make snap decisions on the job.
Yeah.
I don't always feel the need to kind of consult about everything. I'm very capable in that way. And I didn't get the job. Fine. And I asked them for feedback. And they said, yes, actually, your interview was quite alarming.
Alarming.
And I spoke to them, and they said, one of your answers, they marked you on every round. And they were like, we gave you full marks in the first few rounds. And then one of your answers was so poor. And, you'd said this thing about wanting to hit the ground running and, being so independent and not asking questions. And really, that's not, we want somebody who's a team player. We really do. It felt very much that you're, like, dare I say, selfish. That was quite a selfish answer. And fair enough, the answer probably was terrible. But I had been told to say those words. Maybe the whole thing was a test.
The irony being that if you hadn't asked for this advice, you probably would have given an answer like that.
This is the thing. I definitely, why would I have said something like that? It's a stupid answer. But I was like, well, this is the kind of, fine, no questions asked, I'll answer this.
Oh my goodness.
It's so funny.
I love a good job interview.
It's so funny. And I do feel like, yes, as we say, the classical music is quite enclosed. The classical music.
Yeah, it doesn't take long until you start.
The kind of corporate side or like the institutional side rather than, but then the performance side also is. Yeah.
They're all, they all sort of cross over each other.
Definitely true.
Yeah, so I guess, you're right, the sort of the institutional side, but something I just wasn't even on my radar in the sort of my way into where I am now was the sort of media that surrounds classical music, the journalistic side, the people that write about it, make content about it. This isn't. I'll say this is fine. But when I again was casting the net wide with the old applications, and I got the gramophone.
Yeah.
Wanted me to come for an assessment day. They're part of an overarching company which you if you heard that, you wouldn't know what they were, which is when I got this thing through being like, you've come for an assessment day. And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah,
who are you?
Yeah.
And so then I realised, oh, it's the gramophone. I've heard of that. I hadn't really read it very much before because it's very like, it's intense on like recording. I mean, it's great that something like that exists, but it's very much just like, really,
it has an angle for sure.
It really is all about recordings and like comparing different things, new things that come out. But what it did open up to me was this world of like, oh, this is like the world of like journalism and the world of like music media has to exist as well, because that's how sort of you're getting, all these fans are getting this sort of like, it sort of gets the music to the fans, if that makes sense. And that's where I started to do like videos and stuff and like podcasts.
So that was your kind of
born.
And look at him now. It's so true. It's interesting, like the feet in the door. The first kind of job I did out of uni when I was performing. So I was performing and I like needed another kind of side hustle job to make money, and I was binding old scores, rebinding old scores, and my friend Shadi and I got really into rebacking old scores, and a lot of the music as well that you find on IMSLP is out of print, or you can't find it elsewhere.
It's just there.
And we were like, why don't we print stuff and like make a beautiful copy of it? And we got really into it, and we went to a bookbinding shop. Bookbindery Shepherds, and I remember we got talking to somebody who worked there, Mia, who's still one of my closest friends now, actually. And I remember she was like, well, why don't you work here? And
I love that. That's so much fun.
That sounds like my dream. And I worked there, and then I got a job at the Proms, and then like I was an agent. And so weirdly, that actually was kind of a kind of any kind of arts related job that you can kind of sink your teeth into. And weirdly enough, that job came back to me when I was at the Proms last year, and I was working with Andrew Wooderson, who makes harpsichords. And he said, your face looks quite familiar. And I said, I sold you a Florentine paper to line your harpsichord when I was working at the bookbinding shop.
I don't think anyone's ever said
Who
those.
else?
No one said those words next to each other.
But I had sold him a Florentine like paper to line his.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
So like we used to sell decorative papers as well, and historical papers. We
Where
used
does
to
it
sell
go?
old marbles. It was like somewhere inside the lid or something. And it was like
okay.
The actual one that had already. He was restoring it.
Yeah.
And so there was already one there, and I found one that looked quite similar, and it was a traditional one. And he bought it, but I remember like talking to him about it and being really excited because I could understand things about like the actual way that a harpsichord sounds and what's important, and what like how important something like lining paper can be of the actual acoustic of a harpsichord. And I think he was kind of baffled that somebody knew what a harpsichord was and like was able to help him.
Yeah.
But it's so funny how these things like come back to you, because you might think they're unrelated, but they are definitely related.
It's why the music world is very small. It's why you have to be very careful about things you say. I mean, we have to be very careful with things you say, because I mean, everyone's got opinions.
Everyone's got opinions.
And it doesn't take long for people to start saying them. Oh, I can't stand her. Or I can't believe he's doing this.
I hate that, because I also think, all of us, like we were saying with our training, most of us have had some instrumental lessons, or like you've been there, like you've not been there on the stage at the Royal Opera House.
It's not as far away as you think.
It's not as far away as you think, and like people are so quick to cast judgments about things, and in certain lines of work in classical music more than others, I would say there is actually a trend to be very critical. And this was actually something that happened to me in an old job of mine, that I was complimenting an artist after a performance, and one of my colleagues said, he's not going to respect you now. And I was like, what? And she was saying, well, because you were so complimentary, it kind of made it sound like you didn't know what you were talking about. And I think I think that's genuinely one of the worst things. Yeah, like I remember being like,
I remember at Cambridge, they call the music students musos.
Yeah, and that's everywhere. Musos are.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
we were musos at King's.
Yeah, we were.
Oh, I wasn't there. I wasn't there enough.
You just had your headphones in.
But because musos. Anyway, I remember a prominent. He was a conductor, He was also a music student, and when asked about like someone else in his year, he goes, "Oh, she's not relevant." By which means
She's not relevant.
she didn't play in like the scene. She didn't play in the Cambridge orchestral. She didn't play she didn't do much.
Which is like she's not relevant in your scope, but
Yes.
your limited scope is not the world.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that around, and
it's just like not, and it's just like if you, it's better. It's definitely better. But you still come across these like horror stories of like horrible people. But I think now
do.
just what happens goes around. It doesn't take very long for you, like if someone says something nasty about someone and then they go tell someone else, they do someone else,
Yeah,
it'll get back to you.
for sure.
It does not take long, so be careful.
For sure.
The stuff I have to
Everyone be
edit out of this
careful.
podcast.
Yeah, everything is redacted.
Everything.
We went to beep with beep and beep.
But it also hopefully means that people can't get away with the horrible things they have got away with in the past.
I do also think that a lot of, not all younger people, I have to say, some of these people that I'm thinking of are younger people.
Yeah.
But I do think a lot of the people that we know, and actually this is kind of the aim of this podcast as well.
Yeah.
Like, bring it back round to us. But we wanted to have a podcast where like we talk about classical music like we just talk to each other.
Yeah.
Rather than doing an educational thing or being,
We are also educational.
We are also educational, but not, in a way that's kind of, somebody was born in this year.
Yeah.
I watched a video earlier today and it began and
Who was it? Interesting. Who is it?
They said, here's something you definitely don't already know. And I thought, what a way to begin something. Here's something you definitely don't already know. Excuse me.
Like, how?
Like, that's absolutely, and that's not how you would speak to your friend. That's not how you would speak to someone.
You've said that to me many times.
I said it to you earlier.
I have to cut it out.
Well, I definitely know that you don't know because I know you so well. It took time to
stop thinking on the podcast.
him.
I have to clear these things.
I love it.
You'll get me sued.
Redacted. Yeah.
It goes around and comes around.
Yes, but do you think that it was important to have studied music and what you do? Do you still use that kind of... Because I think that's a luxury that I feel that I do use it.
Yeah, it's why I think,
Yeah.
again, it's sort of why you study any humanities, there's sort of a lot of like core transferable skills.
True,
Which they love, which comes from like... reading through sources and being able to digest information and come up with your own
dissertations,
ideas.
that kind of thing.
Dissertations. I mean, I started when I remember just starting at King's, I was awful at writing, but I just didn't get how like you did arguments in long form essays. It was only once I got to like third year and we did dissertation where you got to choose what you were going to write about.
I remember finding that very exciting.
That was the best. I wrote about Stephen Sondheim.
I remember yours very well. Yeah,
and it was about Sweeney Todd, and there was no one in King's that could supervise me. As in, they gave me someone.
But nobody.
There was no like musical theatre person or someone else. Because I mean, to be fair, generally in academic music, musical theatre is rarely touched.
It's true, although there was the module that everybody did, wasn't there?
Yes.
The theatre module.
But again, it's a bit like when we did the disco module and we did the jazz module.
It had to be firmly,
They came from like social context and like historical points of view rather than like, let's look at the chords, let's do like
it definitely didn't come from
analysis.
Yeah.
So I was going into Sondheim being like, let's like analyse this like we were analysing Haydn quartets or how we were analysing Wagner. And so I wrote this essay, it must have been like 30 pages in total. And I really poured my like heart into this. Like, this is like the best thing I've
I want to go out with a bang.
That was it. And I was sort of like, I felt there were so many people like, oh, you can't write about musicals. I was like, no, I want to.
I want to show,
So I would write everything on Google Docs. Just because I could then like write it on my laptop, then write it on my computer at home, so it's always saved, and there was no worries of like saving versions,
which is the kind of big,
which is the most terrifying thing ever. But I had, so I'm just the image of this is in my mind. I had a friend of mine go through and like read it through, just check it, and on Google Docs if you want to change something, it like highlights it and you have to like accept the change. I would have to go and click yes. Well, I thought it'd be quite funny to put a picture of a dog probably about page 26 of 30.
Yeah.
Put a dog on the screen, just like, and it pushed all the text to the sides, and it was like a ridiculous picture of a dog that had like a mortarboard being like dog doing a graduate, which is absolutely the most cringiest thing I've ever said on camera.
I feel like that's so like millennial.
Okay, and it was the most, and I was like, ah ha ha, and he obviously went ha ha, deleted it, but I hadn't accepted the change, but it disappeared to my knowledge. So I just PDF'd that thing, thinking, oh, that's fine. Then we put it on, what it was called, Hand It In, Turn It In, which is like the program you had to just upload it to, and it would tell you how much you've like, plagiarized.
That was always stressful seeing the percentage come up at the beginning. It's like,
well, don't you worry, there was a lot of unique content in this.
Yeah, too unique.
Because I sent it in, and then we didn't think about it for, I don't know how long it was until we got the marks back. Let's say it was like a month and a half or 2 months.
Yeah.
And I remember being on a train into London, and I saw on my phone like the email being like, "You've got your marks are back." And I looked on the thing, it's like, oh my god, I got 77. I was like, oh my god, that's insane. I've never got anything like that on like an essay like this before. I can't wait to get back to my flat and look at the notes that they've made.
Yeah.
So I go back and I see they made like a couple of the first 3 pages have got like comments on them. Then there's no comments. I keep scrolling. I was like, oh, they've not given me any more comments till I get to page 26, and I just sat there on the official like Turn It In PDF viewer. Dog.
So the dog was still there.
The dog was still on this thing, and I just stared at it, and I think it was just a mixture of disbelief, shock, guilt.
I feel like that's kind of sad
fear.
that like you put all that work in and they didn't read
They didn't
that
notice
far,
the dog.
or
No, they did not get that
I mean,
far.
it must have been quite noticeable. I'm imagining it quite sizable.
I think actually we'll put it on the screen now because I have the picture.
Okay, thank God. I remember when I got my marks back for dissertation, that it was like the minute before I went in for my final recital, and I remember like my mark was high enough that like I could flunk my performance and still do well, and I was like, thank God. The worst blunder I remember doing at uni was citing the lecturer like the whole time and spelling their name wrong every single time. Like, and I remember that was like seeing it written down in the next lecture and being like, I swear I didn't spell it like that, and going on Turn It In, and I was like, and obviously when you're the lecturer reading it, that's the first thing you notice.
Funniest thing.
And that particular essay as well, the lecturer came back, and I did quite well, but she said it was a very imaginative essay with a kaleidoscopic structure.
Why do you
which
get
is the nicest horrible thing.
Why do people say these things about you? Alarming,
kaleidoscopic. At least it's not boring.
You inspire imagination.
Hey, at least it's not boring.
Yeah, that's true. That'd be the worst. Now, if you were
exactly,
boring.
and I wonder whether somebody at King's remembers your
the dog.
Your dog.
No one saw
or your
it.
essay on Sondheim, or my weird essay on Anna Karenina,
no
Trains and Music and stuff.
Yeah, and we're
Why did I do that? It was pretentious, but there we go.
Well. Right. Let's go on to my favourite part of the podcast.
Your favourite part? My favourite part too?
Well, it's one of many. And what is your album of the 2 week?
Well, of the 2 week.
Yeah, I've got to be...
The fortnight.
Details. Please further digress.
Well, I wanted to pick something that had something to do with our kind of, or my journey in music, because we wanted to do something that was kind of...
Good, that's good. I like that.
I wanted to do something that was a little bit related to the theme. And so because I'm working with Tenebrae at the moment, I wanted to pick something that I heard at their last concert in Guildford at the All Saints Church in Guildford, and they sang a Rachmaninov piece that I didn't know at all before called Hymn to the Cherubim. And it was really, really beautiful, just very kind of... As I know I said before, I tire of Rachmaninoff's compositional voice. I am reaping and ruining the day that I ever said that, because this is beautiful and the harmonic language does develop in such a beautiful way. And I didn't know his choral music before, except the Vespers. And this was like it's a beautiful short piece, and it's part of one of their earlier albums, which is the Allegri Miserere album. It's kind of their big album.
big one,
with the
yeah.
kind of viral moment with the high C. But I would definitely recommend the album. The recording is beautiful. But particularly on that album, I would recommend the Rachmaninov, the Hymn to the Cherubim, and that's what I'd like to play today.
Thank you, Radio 3.
Thank you, Johnny. Johnny, how about you?
Yes, what is it?
Johnny, you're poised to answer my question.
I'm ready to answer your question, because I've just looked it up.
Yes. So please let me know. What would you like us to listen to this week?
I would like to... A bit of a curveball, I'd say, because I have spoken about Gilbert and Sullivan, and I will talk about them again, because I just did a lot of it during university. And I'm not going to be playing anything from their shows, because there aren't many good recordings of those. That's a long story.
Shade.
But what I will be playing is a part of a piece called Pineapple Pole. Now you might be like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm lost.
It's, Sir Charles Mackerras, the great conductor, who's apparently was quite short.
But apparently it's a thing with conductors, all the great conductors
Are really short.
Yeah,
I
small
thought
hands short.
Small hands
Yeah,
short.
apparently small hands and short. That's a big thing.
I see, that's why they
Yeah.
That's why they need the baton.
Baton, yeah.
He loved Gilbert and Sullivan. And so he arranged and orchestrated a load of their music into a ballet called Pineapple Pole, which I believe was done at Sadler's Wells.
Are we talking Pole or Poll like a name?
Poll.
I see.
Sorry, I had to think that. Pineapple Pole. Like poll tax. That's awful. Was that what I went for? And it's just amazing. You can tell he just loves Gilbert and Sullivan. I mean, if you can, whatever you fault Gilbert and Sullivan, you cannot fault Sullivan, the tunes. And you can say anything you want bad about Gilbert and Sullivan, but you cannot fault the Sullivan tunes.
It is all too true. It's what my dad was missing in my exam pieces, the tune.
Oh, yeah, God. But Pineapple Pole is just so much fun. So here we go. Thank you very much for tuning in for episode 6. Can you believe we're at 6? I think I said that at the beginning of this episode.
No, we literally, it's a loop.
In a constant state of disbelief.
I'm in a constant state of disbelief, and if this were real, this would loop perfectly back to the beginning, and then the whole thing would loop back over. Watch an hour video again.
Why is this episode 2 hours long? Oh yeah, we just say it all again at the end.
Exactly.
That'd be great. Great way of making content.
Yeah, exactly.
But either way, we've been talking about our traumas and our experiences growing up. I'm sure you have also had experiences like this. So do let us know what your...
Share with us. If you can relate, let us know. If you have something totally different.
Your highs, your lows.
Yes, exactly. Let us know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.